Ladies and gentlemen, I have a really big win that I'm super excited to share. On this channel, we often share the really big wins that people have, where they do really crazy things, make a ton of money, meet some amazing women, have some orgies and, all that crazy stuff. But I get as excited about the tiny little wins that people have compared to like the really big stuff because it is with those tiny little baby steps that you take at the start that you then build something really big. And so I had a client in my group who came to us and he wanted to earn $1. And so I gave him, or he wanted to earn some money, but I said, start by just earning $1. And I gave him a couple of videos for inspiration. The very first one is by this pretty famous YouTuber. I think he has like 16 or 20 million subscribers. His name is Ryan Trahan. And he traveled from Paris all the way back to America, this video here at the top, with I don't know what 0.01 euros is. Let's just say 1 cent. I know it's not a cent, but like 1 cent. And he traveled all the way back to America. How did he do that? At the start, he asked someone for a pen, he asked for a piece of paper, and then he would draw portraits for people, like literally random people on the street. And you can see here in this picture, he's not very good at drawing. But then he would draw the picture for free for someone and he'd say, if you want to, you can donate some money to me. I'm trying to get back home to America. Feel free to donate money. And some people did. And what I really love about this video is he's not the most socially confident person. He's kind of a bit awkward sometimes. He's not even good at some of the ways that he's making money, but he plays the fucking numbers game. And he has the balls to go up to people and say, if I draw your picture, would you give me some money? I've had clients in the past in my coaching group that we've encouraged to walk up to strangers with your camera and say, if I take a photo for you, would you give me a couple of dollars? Sure. You take a nice photo of them, doesn't have to be great. They'll give you some money. And what I love in this video is he puts on the screen a whole bunch of times how much money he earns with each of these little activities that he does. So he just drew shitty pictures of people when he's not a good drawer, and he made 35 euros, so like roughly, I think that's like 35 US dollars in 2 hours. That's pretty fucking good for walking up to strangers and saying, I'll draw a terrible picture for you and you can give me whatever money you want. And again, I've had some of my coaching clients that have done this sort of stuff, go up to women or go up to people, and say, I'll take your photo, pay me whatever it's worth. And they've made like $20 an hour from just, you only need to have 4 people say yes and they pay you $5. Congratulations. You can make way more than that. Another way he made some money is he bought, with some of the money that he just made from the portraits, from drawing the portraits, he bought a little squeegee, like window cleaning thing, bought just like a bottle of window cleaner, and he went up to random businesses and he was like, hey, can I clean your windows? And by the way, he did a lot of this without the camera there so that it would look more like authentic. Like the camera's just way off in the distance watching him so that it doesn't influence people saying yes. They're not like, oh yeah, of course I'll give you money because you're a famous YouTuber. No. And so he went up to businesses and he did that. He's just cleaning their windows. Yeah, I'll clean all your windows. You pay me like $5 or pay me whatever you think it's worth. You go up to a bunch of small businesses on the street. You just say this to everyone. Some of them will say yes. A lot of them will say no, but some of them will be like, fuck yeah. Yeah, why not? Sure. Do a good job. I'll give you like $5 or something. He also bought a whole bunch of water bottles and I think he paid about 50 cents. Like it worked out to be 50 cents per water bottle. And he sold them for, as you can see in this picture, about $2 per bottle and made a fair chunk of money that way. He also got a big piece of paper and just wrote on it and said, I'll tell you a joke. And if I make you laugh, you give me $2. And people would come over and he'd tell them really fucking terrible jokes. He just read them from a joke book. He spent some of the money that he had earned on buying a joke book and he would just read out shitty jokes to people. And sometimes they would laugh and they'd go, okay, fine, I'll give you some money. And from that, he earned quite a bit of money. In 2 hours, he earned 48 pounds or 48 euros, sorry. No, pounds. Yeah, that's pounds, isn't it? Because he traveled to a couple of different countries to show you that this is possible in different countries. So he earned, what's that, like $24 an hour. That's insane. $24 an hour telling shitty jokes. It's like, yeah, you can make a big fucking amount of money from just going out to tourist places and walking up to strangers and saying, I'll tell you a joke. If I make you laugh, will you give me $2? Yes. And so this guy made more than enough money to get all the way back home to America when he started out with essentially nothing, 1 cent, just by going up to strangers on the street. And so I sent this to my client and he was super inspired by that. And there's also a few other videos, like there's a channel called Yes Theory, and they do a lot of this shit. They did one where they go to an airport two of them did it separately, like they both went to different airports, and they have to go up to strangers and say, "Can you buy me a flight home? Like, I want to get home to America. Can you buy me a flight?" They're not allowed to leave the airport until someone buys them a flight. One of them, it was like the fifth person he asked, was like, "Fuck it, yeah, man, I'll buy you a flight." And he's like, "Wait, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, you can sit next to me if you want to. We'll buy a flight together." And he's like, "Really?" The guy's like, "Yeah, why not? Why the fuck not? You asked for it. Like, why not? I got money. I can give that to you." And so he got a flight within like fucking 30 minutes of trying. And then the other guy, the second guy in a separate airport, was trying to do this, and he asked a bunch of people and no one said yes. And so finally he was like, okay, maybe no one's going to buy me a ticket for whatever reason. And someone would have eventually if he just played the numbers game. But he's like, I'm going to change my tactic. What if I just tell people that I want a ticket, but they can donate any amount of money to help me? And so he went up to strangers and literally just said, I'm trying to get a plane ticket. Is there any chance you could give me money? Some people gave him $1. Some people said, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. Some people gave him more money. One person gave him like $100 or something, and he eventually got enough money to buy a plane ticket. He didn't even have anything to offer. He's literally just saying, can I please have money? And here's my story, and I'm trying to get a plane ticket. And some people said yes to that. And so I sent all of these to my client. And these are things that I've talked about a lot in past videos. If you go onto my YouTube channel and click on the playlists section, I have a playlist on business and financial abundance, like how to make money. And I've done a couple of videos on this. Like this one here, Cam and I did a video called Money, Start Your Side Hustle Already. And we talk about how to earn your first dollar if you're scared to make any money. And then this one here, Cam and I talk about, or maybe I just did this by myself. Anyway, I talk about how to make your first $100. And in my coaching program, I have a video on how to make your first $500. And I've had plenty of clients come through the program that have made money. This guy here, Andreas, we coached him and helped him join. He basically got a mentor who taught him watch sales, like how to sell watches and make money from that. So he made a fair bit of money from that. Marcus here, this one's probably the most relevant to today's discussion. He ended up making $500 in like a month, and then he went on to make way more than that. Kind of started a photography business. Ravi obviously started his own business doing similar stuff to what I'm doing. This guy here, Laz, already had a business. He was making about 20K a month, and then we got him up to 45K a month. But there's plenty of videos on my channel on how to make money. But that brings me to my coaching client. So my coaching client made this post, and I'll go through this in a second, but he was so unbelievably nervous yesterday. Literally just yesterday, we had a group coaching call with the whole group, and I'll make myself full screen for a second. So he was super nervous and wanted to start a business, but had no idea what business to start. Like he just got to coaching like 2 days ago, and he's like, I'm joining so that you guys can help me make money. I have no idea how. I don't know what kind of business I want to start. I'm really nervous and terrified of all of this shit, but can you guys help me make money? And we're like, fuck yeah, man, let's do it. And so yesterday on the group coaching call, I gave him this big, long, passionate speech where I showed him those same YouTube videos that I just showed you guys on the screen, that Ryan Trahan guy. I screen shared it and showed him the same things I just showed you guys. I showed him that Yes Theory video. I showed him a bunch of different stuff. And I said, look, don't put the pressure on yourself to start a business right now. That's really scary. What I want you to do is go outside and start earning $1. I just want you to make $1 so that you can see that money is abundant. It's kind of like a faucet, like a little tap that you can turn on, and the money just wants to flow out. Money wants to fucking flow to you, but you're going to have to ask for it. You're going to have to go out to people and either offer them something or ask them for money or have some sort of product, and that product can just be you drawing shitty pictures like that Ryan Trahan guy and saying, pay me whatever you think this shitty drawing that I've done is worth. Or I'll tell you a shitty joke, and if you laugh, would you give me $1? That's you offering something. But money is out there and it wants to flow to you. It's just that we usually get stuck in this paradigm, this trap, or this thinking of, I can only make money if I have a job, if I have a salary or a wage, or I start a business. It's like, no, you can literally just walk up to fucking strangers and ask for money. Homeless people do that all the time, and they make quite a bit of money. You know, they don't die from lack of money. And so we had that big speech, and I gave my client literally just yesterday the mission to go out and make his first dollar. And normally when I give people that mission, I think, yeah, this guy will probably take like a week and then he'll work up the courage to do it. This guy posted like 12 fucking hours later with this. I just made $1. And from the first person I asked, which is funny, I said that to him. I said, more people than you think will give you money. You usually don't have to ask that many people before someone goes, sure, man, I'll give you $1. I'll give you $5. And you're like, holy fuck, I just made $5. And I just did that in like, what, 2 minutes? Wait, if I just did this for the next hour, holy shit, like look at the maths on that. I could make like fucking an incredible amount of money. I could make like 30 times this. Could I make $30 in an hour by just going and asking people for money? Yes. Yes, you could. And so he says, I just made $1. And from the first person I asked, I was working and I just remembered the task that I was given on the coaching call. So I asked my manager. That's hilarious to me. It's like your manager's already giving you money technically because you're employed. So he went and asked his manager and he asked why, as in, why do you want money? And I said, because I asked. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So he asked, we talked about this on the call yesterday. I didn't think he'd take me literally, but I said to him on the call, some people will give you money literally just because you asked. Like you're not even offering them anything. You just asked for money and they'll give it to you. So that's hilarious to me that he said to his boss, why do you want this money? Because I asked. And the boss said, okay. And he gave me $1. This is a good manager. This is a great fucking manager. I like this guy. And then I felt a bit ashamed and guilty afterwards. I'll explain below. We're going to talk about that in a second. We'll talk about the guilt because I gave him an answer to that too. Then I had the thought that I can ask a few more of my coworkers and make $5. Yeah, you see how the gears start turning? But then interestingly, the next thought that arose was, but I don't want to scam them. Okay, I fucking love this guy so much. So I guess I still think it's wrong internally. And again, we're going to talk about this. This bit I highlighted, we'll talk about this in a second. He then followed up with a reply to his own post like an hour later saying, okay, I asked a coworker for $1 just now. And initially he said no. But then he said, why? And I said, because I asked. This guy's fucking hilarious, right? So he laughed and pulled out his wallet. Interesting. He didn't have cash, so he couldn't give me the money. He could have Venmo'd you, bro. But yeah. But it sounded like he wanted to. Yeah, see? So he got one person to give him $1, and then the very next person that he asks tries to give him $1, but just doesn't have $1. And I'm sure if you said, bro, could you Venmo me? He probably would have been like, yeah, man, you're fine. Fuck it. I'll Venmo you. So it's like, you got 1.5 results out of 2. Of the 2 people you talked to, one gave you money and the other one half gave you money. Probably would have given you money if you offered or asked for Venmo. So he goes on to say, interesting. I was thinking about making $10 when I woke up today. This is the next day. So it looks like my mindset is changing from fear-based, yeah, he was very afraid of asking people for money, to excitement-based. Yeah, now this starts to get fun. And then I also started thinking about ways that I could make money on the street. So now my gears have started turning internally. It's only a matter of time before I take action. Yeah. You see how like the tiny little baby steps grow into something really beautiful? You start getting that momentum. He's now asked 2 people for money. One of them gave him money and the other one tried to, and probably would have if he'd known how to solve that problem and said, okay, fuck it. Can you Venmo me? He probably would have been like, yeah, bro, fuck it. Fine. And so what you're going to find is if you go out on the street and just ask people for money, some of them will give it to you. They won't even fucking expect anything from you. Like I have people come up to me all the time and ask for money. I've walked past homeless people. I just give them money. I don't expect anything from them. I'm just like, I feel nice when I give you money. That's what I get out of this. And I've been in positions where I was struggling with money or I was struggling with my mental health or any of that. And people were there for me. So fuck it. I'll be there for you, man. Like, why not? Like, it doesn't take anything from me to give you $1. I got plenty of money. I can give you $1. And so there are people outside that will give you money just because you asked for it. Literally for no fucking reason other than it makes them feel good. And so there is money out there. It's abundant. And you can use that as inspiration. Now, let's talk about what he said up here, where he said, I feel like I don't want to scam them by just asking for money. And he said, I guess I still think it's wrong internally. And he goes on to say, I feel a little bit guilty. So what I said back to him, this is what I replied to him with, haha, you legend. With the guilt that you feel today, do something for your boss and anyone who gave you money. I guess it was only his boss who gave him money, but I wasn't sure if by the time I fucking wrote this, he might have asked a whole bunch more people for money. So do something for your boss. Some ideas. Express gratitude to him. Like literally say, hey boss, yesterday when you gave me money, you gave me $1. That really meant a lot to me. I know it's only $1, but the fact that you just gave that to me without hesitation, just because I asked for it, You're a really kind, genuine, loving person. Thank you. And your boss will probably feel pretty fucking good about that, won't he? That's you giving him something that alleviates that weird guilt feeling or that strange feeling that you have of like, am I just taking from people? It's like, no, I'm taking and then I'm giving. Holy shit, now we both win. You could also offer to make him a coffee, assuming that this guy where he works in like a retail place. I'm assuming they have like a little staff area with tea rooms and you can go in there and make a coffee. Say to your boss, hey boss, like that was so cool of you to give me $1 yesterday. I want to do something nice for you today. Like, do you want me to make you a coffee when you're on your break? Do you want me to, I don't know, clean something for you? Do you want me to, I went on to say this, do you want me to stay back an extra 5 minutes for free today? Like, it's not much, it's 5 minutes, but he gave you $1. That's not much. I'll stay back for 5 minutes and I'll work for free. Do you want me to do that? Or, boss, is there something that you don't really like doing in the workplace? Like maybe you don't like cleaning up people's messes. Like if somebody spills a drink or something, you don't really enjoy cleaning that up. How about I give you almost like an IOU? The next time that happens, call me, like literally fucking call me on the PA system, call me on the fucking megaphone or whatever. I will come and do that job for you. Like whatever job you don't like, you get one pass. Like I can do that one job for you one time. And your boss would be like, yeah, that's fucking cool, bro. Thank you. Do that. Tell him why you asked. Mention the YouTube videos, mention your fear of homelessness. So this guy had a really strong fear of homelessness, a fear of not having enough money, which was where this whole discussion came from. He's afraid that one day he'll end up on the streets and he won't have enough money. It's sort of like an irrational fear, but lots of people have that fear. I used to have that fear. And so mention that and say like, boss, you've taught me something beautiful. Like you giving me $1. I literally did that almost as like a test or to try and prove to myself that if anything ever went wrong in my life and I ever became like homeless or something, which I sometimes worry about, I'm not that worried about it, but sometimes I think about that. There would be kind people out there like you that would give me $1. So like genuinely, boss, you have literally made me feel more comfortable being alive. You've made me feel more peace, like at peace with myself and with life. And I trust people a little bit more. You literally made me trust humanity a little bit more by doing this. Thank you. And your boss will hear that and be like, holy fuck, that's dope. I thought you were just trying to take $1 from me. Like, really? Like I actually made you trust humanity a little bit more. And you're like, yeah, bro, you have restored my faith in humanity, as people often say, that meme, faith in humanity restored. Like you can say that to your boss. That would be a beautiful fucking gift to him. You're trying to show people, or you're trying to show yourself that people are kind. You can go and share that with him. So there's things that you can offer. And that's where that weird, guilty, ashamed feeling is coming from, where he's like, fuck, did I just take $1? It's like, yeah, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Your boss consented to giving you that $1. He could have said no. And this guy's a very nice guy. He wouldn't have pressured his boss or his coworkers. He's like a very genuinely sweet guy. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be feeling guilty and ashamed about taking $1, would he? Someone who's a very kind, generous human being doesn't feel guilty about taking money. They just take the money and that, fuck yeah, of course I deserve money. Fuck you. And so he's a very kind person. But how you alleviate that little bit of guilt is by offering something. And I can relate to all of this stuff because for a little while, I felt a little bit guilty at times, almost every time I would put my coaching prices up. So for those of you who don't know the full story, I started out coaching like the first person for free. I coached a bunch of people for free, technically, if you talk about the forums that I used to be on, the Good Looking Loser forums. I just like mentored a whole bunch of people. I was a moderator on there. I would just fucking write essays to each person, like basically coaching them. I didn't think of it as coaching. I wanted to, but that was essentially like coaching. So I did a whole bunch of that. That was really beautiful practice for me. And then I started charging people. I think I charged like $10 an hour or something. And I charged them $10 an hour, but the call would go for over an hour and I would prepare notes before the call. Like I would get them to email me and tell me what we were going to talk about. And then I would prepare a list of notes and I'd spend 1 or 2 hours on that. And then after the call, I would email them with a follow-up, like a long fucking essay of like 10 paragraphs being like, bro, good job opening up today. Here's some more advice. I didn't mention this on the call, but you could do this as well. And like, so I was probably spending like 5 hours. We'll say minimum 3 hours, maximum like 5 hours per client, even though they'll pay me like $10. And then I slowly put my prices up over time. Then I'd start telling people, hey, the coaching's $15 for an hour. Hey, it's $20. It's $25. It's $30. And I got to a point where I felt a lot of guilt and shame. It was when I was roughly about $45 an hour. because that worked out to be more than my parents had ever been paid in any job they'd ever worked. And by the way, all these prices I'm giving are in Australian dollars, but then I eventually converted to US dollars. Anyway, that's like irrelevant, but it was like $45 an hour Australian. So that's like 30 something dollars US. And I felt very guilty for that amount of money. I felt a lot of shame and guilt. I was like, is this too much money? Am I worth this? Is this asking too much of people? And so how I alleviated that guilt and that weird feeling of like, am I taking too much from these people? Like, am I offering enough? Was I just went above and beyond and offered even more. And so I would spend even longer, and I made the calls not limited to 1 hour. And I was like, you can talk to me for as long as you want. And that's something I still do today. It's like the call might be 1 hour officially, but I even say on the, like the $200 coaching calls I offer, I literally say on the page, we can talk for as long as you want. It's fine. Like if you want to talk for longer, we'll just talk. Some of those go for 3 hours. I've had one that went for like 5.5 fucking hours because the guy was really opening up about a lot of deep shit. And I wasn't just going to say like, sorry, bro, time's up. Go fuck yourself, bitch. Like, no. So we sat there for 5.5 hours and went through everything. I once did a coaching call with a guy for like 3 hours. And I was so fucking exhausted at the end of the 3 hours, but it was such a good call. Like I was exhausted in a good way. Like you've just run a marathon or some shit. You're on a high. Such a good call. It was like he was opening up about him and his current girlfriend and whether or not they were compatible. And, he wanted an open relationship, but she wasn't quite sure if she wanted that. And so I coached him for 3.5 hours, like 3 hours. And I was fucking exhausted. And then right at the end, I just kind of threw this out there. I was like, how is she feeling? And he was like, I don't really know. Like, she's kind of not really opening up about it. And I was like, has she done coaching? Like, has she talked to a therapist? Is she talking to her friends? And he was like, yeah, but she doesn't feel comfortable talking to her friends about this because it's like they're conservative and we're talking about sex and open relationships. And she doesn't really have anyone to talk to. And I was like, would you like me to talk to her? Like we can either talk, you can bring her into the room now if she wants to, and we can talk for a little bit together, or I can just talk to her by herself if you want me to. Like, is that something you want? And he kind of sat there and he thought about it. And he's like, bro, do you mind if I go ask her? So he goes and asks her. Long story short, she says yes. I end up coaching her for 2.5 hours, like immediately. So it ended up being this like fucking 5.5 or 6 hours, just fucking long call of like, you coach the shit out of someone. You pour 3 hours into coaching them and just you pour your heart and soul into that. He poured his heart and soul into it too. And you're like, holy fuck. Okay, I'm going to go lay on the couch. But then you're like, all right, bitch, it's go time again. Do the same thing, but now with the other person. And she opened up a lot. She was such a beautiful human being. She cried so much. We had this really big fucking discussion. Anyway, that's probably one of my wildest coaching calls. It's like you do a 3-hour marathon coaching call and you're like, I'm fucking good, bro. Time to go lay on the couch. And then I say, oh, do another one. So that was fun. I fucking loved that so much. Needless to say, I was absolutely fucking exhausted by the end of that, but that was so beautiful. Anyway, that kind of shit is what I'm talking about when I say like give extra value. And you don't have to do something fucking insane, like have a 5 or a 6 hour coaching call. You don't have to, I don't know, if you operate a fast food restaurant, you don't have to give them like 10 fucking free hamburgers. You don't have to do something insane. I just choose to do that because I'm a little bit insane and I like to do that stuff. I genuinely get pleasure out of sitting there for hours coaching someone and seeing them open up, seeing them be courageous. Like that's fun for me. But if that's not fun for you, don't fucking do that. But the point is you do a little bit more than what you're asking for. So if you're charging $40 an hour for your product or your service or like whatever it is that you're offering, you give $60 an hour worth of effort, or you give $100 an hour. Like pretend that you're being paid $100 an hour, even if you're only being paid 40, and just do the work that you would do if you were getting paid $100 an hour. Put that much love and care and attention into it. Express gratitude to the other person. Tell them you're grateful. That's a really good way. I said that to this client. Express gratitude to your boss, to your manager, the guy that gave you $1. So I would express, and I still do, express gratitude to my coaching clients. Every single person that comes on a $200 coaching call with me at the end, I'll be like, bro, I really appreciate you opening up like this. This was so cool of you, dude. You did such a good job. You've inspired me, bro. This was so brave. I say it to all of you. I'm grateful to all of you for being here. You guys and girls pay my bills. Even if you don't pay me for coaching, you're at least keeping this beautiful community alive. You inspire me so much So many of you post your wins and your baby steps and the action that you're taking. And then I literally wake up in the morning, I read some of that shit, and I get fucking fired up. And I go, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm going to record a podcast. I'm literally only recording this video here today that you're watching right now because this fucking coaching client inspired me. If he hadn't posted all this, if he hadn't gone and made his first dollar, I wouldn't be recording this. I'm inspired by him. And so I'm grateful to all of you sharing that gratitude with your customers or your audience or your clients or whatever it is that you're selling. That is another really good way. So anytime we feel that guilt and that shame, when it might come from, like a business that we're building or something that we're doing, just do more. And by the way, that applies to sex and dating. If you have this weird feeling, which lots of fucking people do, of like, I don't know how I feel about casual sex. Aren't I like using women? Is it really okay to have like casual sex and not offer them a relationship? It's like, if you're feeling that guilt, then offer more. You don't have to offer a relationship, but like offer gratitude, offer really good conversation, improve your sexual skills so you have something really amazing to offer in the bedroom. You just practice that and get better at that. But start thinking like, what do I have to offer and how can I give more value so that people feel like they're receiving and then I don't feel guilty. On my YouTube channel, in the last couple of weeks, I've done 3 videos on this. I did a 3-part series. So there's this one here, building an epic business by giving value. And I talk about how to give more value in a business. Like I literally give you a whole bunch of things that you can do to give value. This one, I talk about casual sex and how to like give value to the people that you're having casual sex with. If you feel that guilt of like, am I just using people if I just sleep with them? It's like, offer more value. And then you don't feel that guilt. You're like, no, I'm offering this person a lot. And honesty, by the way, is something that you're offering. Be very upfront about the fact that you want something casual if that's what you want. Or be very upfront about the fact that you want something more if you're looking for a relationship. Just basically be upfront and honest. And then here's the first part of that same thing. We talk a lot about like casual sex and relationships and how to add to the lives of the people that you date or that you sleep with or you build a relationship with. So this is a topic that I've covered a lot. But yeah, anytime you feel that guilt, give a little bit more. So what are the takeaways from today's video? If you are trying to start a business, but you're feeling all that fucking resistance, and that fear of like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can start a business. I don't know which business I would start. I don't know how I'd make money. I don't know if I have a good product or a service. Start thinking in terms of just, I'm going to go out and make my first dollar. Look how excited this guy was because he went up to his boss and said, can I have $1? Go outside and offer people something. Say, I'll tell you a joke. If I make you laugh, would you give me $1? And someone will go, fine, sure. And they go, why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side, ha ha ha. And then if they're just like, and then you're like, look, I'm trying, bro. It's really hard. Like, is there any chance you'd still give me $1? I know that was a terrible joke. Is there a chance you'd give me $1? And they're like, fine, but that was really shit. You got to work on your jokes. And they give you $1. And you're like, thanks. I really appreciate that. You just got $1. Congratulations. You just earned your first dollar. Walk up to the next person, tell a better joke, or draw people pictures, or buy water bottles in a supermarket super cheap for like 50 cents. You just buy a big box of like 24 of them, buy them super cheap, walk up to people, particularly in a tourist area, particularly if it's hot where you live, like if you're in California or some shit, this is easy mode. And then you walk up to people and just say, hey, I'm selling water bottles for $1. And someone will go, fuck it, man, I'm thirsty. Thank you. Here you go. And they take it. Now I don't have to walk to the grocery store or to the convenience store. I just take that off you. Thanks. You saved me a trip to 7-Eleven. And $1 is probably cheaper than you pay in 7-Eleven, right? You just made 50 cents. And just do that a bunch of times. Holy shit, I can make money from just going up and cold approaching strangers. And so there is money out there. Start thinking in terms of, I'm just going to make $1 and slowly build up. That's all I ever did. I set the goal with my website. After like a year of doing it, I was like, I think maybe I would like to make money from this because then it's going to be more sustaining. If I made more money, I could write more content. I could help more people. My goal at the start was I just wanted to make $1. $1. And I did that through donation. And then from there, I started doing some coaching and slowly put that price up. But you don't have to build a business. I never intended to build a business. This, to me, isn't a business. It's just people pay me and I help them and I give them love. That's it. I don't think of this like a business. I never intended to build a business. It is. It's technically a company. This is technically like I'm a fucking company. I'm technically the managing director. How fucking cool is that? I'm the managing director. Imogen is like, I don't know, she's like the vice president or some shit. I don't know how the words work. I don't know any of that shit. That's all stuff the accountant handles. But yeah, I'm a managing director. But I don't think of that. I don't think of this as a fucking coaching business. It's just like, I'm going to coach people and some of them are going to give me money. Cool. Isn't that beautiful? And that's much less intimidating to start rather than I got to start a business and I got to earn enough to pay all the bills and I got to make it work and I got to get rich and I got to understand how tax works and corporations and all of that. Yes, you do need to handle that stuff eventually, but start with earning $1. In most countries, there is a tax-free threshold where if you haven't earned a certain amount of money, you don't have to pay tax. You need to look that up in your own country. Don't just take my word for that. But in Australia, it's something like, I don't know, $5,000 or something. And so go outside and start earning money. It's tax-free. Again, look that up in your fucking country. So you don't need to worry about the big details of like, how do I set up a corporation? How do I set up an LLC? Do I need like insurance? But what if any, like, don't worry about that shit. Go up to strangers and start making $1. The same thing applies to dating. You don't have to worry about how you're going to have a great date and blow her mind and have good sex and keep her around and make her your girlfriend. You guys are going to have fun. Like all of that is too much shit to worry about. All that you need to think about right now is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to tell one girl that she's pretty. And if I can't do that, if that's too scary for me, I'm going to go outside and try and smile at just one girl, just one. And if I can't do that, I'm going to walk around outside and just look at some women and think about what it would be like to smile at them. I'll just start with that. So start with the one baby step that you can take right now. And I promise that that momentum will start building up. Like this guy has just earned his first dollar. I'll probably do a follow-up video if you guys want me to in a week or a month from now. Probably would have earned $500 or $1,000 like in his first fucking month by starting with $1. So momentum builds with baby steps, taking a little bit of action every day, giving yourself permission to suck and not being perfect with it, and then just continuing to keep on going. All of you are capable of that. I promise. You don't have to get intimidated by starting a business or by learning how to hit on women or any of that shit. Just start with the tiniest little baby step that you are capable of right now. Obviously, if you want more help with this, I have coaching. I will leave a link in the description below to that. As always, ladies and gentlemen, go out there and crush those goals and start with a tiny little baby step. If this guy can do it, he was really fucking terrified. But if this guy can do it, you sure as hell can too. And hey, if I could do it, I built all of this, right? I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. If I can do this, you sure as hell can